Let's talk to James Heale, political correspondent at The Spectator. James, very good morning to you.
Morning, Mike.
So, a couple of exclusives for us that I'd like to start with, both of which feed into the kind of prisons crisis that we've got, because I think, in the last week we've heard from the head of the prisons union, who said basically we need more prisons. We haven't got enough prisons to put all the people in that we need to put them in. We've got 5,500 prisoners coming out of prison. Keir Starmer says, don't worry, we're going to be monitoring them, so if they commit any crimes, we'll put them straight back into prison. We've now got a story here that foreign criminals who have spent time in our prisons, 17,500 of them, are not being deported. And meanwhile, while they're locking up people for making Facebook posts, which are slightly unsavoury, we're not locking up paedophiles, we're not locking up killers, and we're not locking up drug dealers. I mean, it's a complete and utter shambles, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, where do you want to start with all of that? It's just extraordinary. I mean, look, when Keir Starmer announced these early releases at the beginning of his premiership 6 weeks ago, I think a lot of people were saying, look, it's a sort of matter of necessity. There were even some applauding this and saying, you've got James Timpson, the new prison reformer, in there. The key thing, of course, is, now we're actually at that stage. We're looking at some of these cases, looking at the specifics of what these people who are going to be released have done. And actually, it is very, very worrying. And, of course, the key thing, and I was amazed when you were just saying that there about the idea that, if they reoffend, we'll put them back in. Well, they still caused the crime in the first place, and that's the real danger here, which is that, if you're going to be someone whose businesses are looted, or, if you have someone who's a victim of sexual offence, as you say about the paedophile there, I mean, that's not going to do much good if they've already committed the crime and then gets put back inside. So I think reoffending is going to be a key thing to watch, and I suspect that crime is going to be one of those continual issues that could do for this Labour government.
Yeah, absolutely right, because, they've already set themselves out the stall, which is that they're going to crack down on social media posts. They're telling people to be very careful. They're still dealing with hundreds of people that they've charged in connection with the riots. I think they've locked up about 450 people so far. But they simply don't have enough prisons. And the one prison which has been built in recent times, which is somewhere in England, I'm just trying to find the actual reference to it, but I can't at the moment, has been labelled as one of the worst prisons in Britain because it's so liberal. They've got people with rooms that with sort of ensuite showers. They've got a liberal kind of, they call them rooms. They don't call them cells. Prisoners are called residents. They're not called prisoners. All of that sort of nonsense.
Well, I think the real danger here is that you expand the scope of the state while not its capacity. So you can get criminalise more and more offences, you can, say, broaden the remit, etc. You can do what the Tories did and increase sentencing. But until you build more prisons and get more prison offers into that system, you're going to make it to bursting point. And that's what we've got right now. And you end up with a state which can't do half the things it promises to do, and a state that fails on law and order. Yeah,
this is HMP 5 Wells. It's a G4S-run super prison, supposedly housing 1,700 men. It cost £238 million to build, opened in 2022 by Dominic Raab. But basically, it's not fit for purpose because, unfortunately, it's too soft.
Yeah, I mean, this is the issue, which is that when we've had private firms involved in the Justice Department, it doesn't tend to end terribly well.
No.
The key thing is that we haven't built enough. Everyone obviously locally ejects. And when we do put it like this, I don't think that it's actually delivering the kind of things on reoffending or actually making sure that the victims get the punishment in crime and order that they actually deserve in all of this.
Yeah, absolutely right. And meanwhile, this kind of two-tier policing won't go away. We've now being sort of told by people that follow this stuff that actually we've got a two-tier justice system because clearly, we're locking up a lot of foreign criminals, 12,000 of them, pretty much in the prison population at the moment, and at the same time complaining that we haven't got any space. Well, surely the sensible thing to do would be to get rid of the 12,000 foreign criminals, deport them back to their countries of origin, and then suddenly we'd have more space.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at foreign deportation orders over the past 15 years or so, they've completely collapsed. We're deporting far less. So this isn't just confined to one issue here. You need to look at things about deportation, elements around international agreements we've got. And because obviously these people, they come to the UK jails and, of course, they end up sometimes running them. I mean, that's not really the sort of immigrant-led nation we want in these respects.
No, it's really not. And also just the figures that came out yesterday. I mean, the Home Office has said to us today, of course, we are very committed to getting rid of people from this country who are not actually legally supposed to be here, except for the fact that that's not true, because they absolutely do not deport people who are here illegally, because we know that from the figures that came in from the Home Office yesterday, in which 25,300 boat migrants were given asylum, and only 3% of them were deported.
Yeah, and the incredible thing about that, of course, Mike, if you look at those figures, of that 3%, the bulk of them, 89%, were Albanian. And of course, that's the one thing we've been able to achieve in the last 3 years. The Albania deal of December 2022, which Rishi Sunak loved to talk about, although a lot more under Labour, that is working, but the rest of the asylum system certainly isn't. And so people are coming here, they're increasingly not coming from Albania. If you look at the nationalities, they're Vietnamese and Afghanistan, which are the main ones this time. And increasingly also, they're not coming on small boats. They're not so small boats. These are much bigger boats than they used to be.
They're huge.
Yeah, there's sort of 50 people on these boats, not just 10 as they used to be. So these are all serious issues for Labour to work out. And remember, of course, they've got their new Border Security Command head, still not been appointed yet. At the same time, they're removing a deterrent. So Labour have got big questions on this, no matter how little they enjoy talking about it.
Yeah, absolutely right. A couple of other stories around the Labour government as well. We've got the one story which says that Labour membership has dropped to such a low level that people in the party are quite alarmed that under Keir Starmer people are sort of deserting them. Also, we've got top academics in the Times this morning having a go at Labour for failing to protect free speech, particularly on campuses. They're basically saying this new act Bridget Phillipson has basically done away with, which is meant to defend free speech, means that students could be exposed to harm and appalling hate speech on campuses.
Backlash about that. And of course there's the important principle, Mike, that you say about free speech here. There's also things about intimidation of certain Chinese students on the campus by what's going on there. So I think that all these issues are going to come back to bite them, and to make it a priority of the new government is baffling, I think.
Yes, well, you can imagine, can't you, when the universities all go back sort of sometime in the middle of September when they deign to finish off their summer holidays. There's going to be all sorts of Hamas-related demonstrations. There's going to be all sorts of anti-Israeli demonstrations, marches and all of that. That's all going to kick off again, isn't it?
Well, yeah, and I suspect within not too long there'll be some demonstrations against the Labour government as well for not giving them more money.
Well, I wonder why. Well, I mean, everybody else is getting money, but once again there'll be another backlash because of the news we've got today of Ofgem's energy price cap increasing by 10%, which is quite a big percentage, up to £1,717 from October the 1st. This is coming straight after all pensioners are being told, basically, or most pensioners, you won't be getting the winter fuel allowance.
Yeah, it's a kick in the teeth for the pensioners. And, if I was in CCHQ right now, I'd be running a much bigger campaign on all this. You remember, of course, the kind of campaigns the Lib Dems, the Labour have run over the past 10 years about the wicked Tories. I don't know why the Tories themselves aren't going out there and getting every single pensioner to sign up and complain about this. Yeah. I spoke to a couple of Labour MPs. They were surprised that there's sort of amount of postage this, backlash produced, and I shouldn't be too surprised given how switched on pensioners are. That's something to look at. The other thing, of course, is Labour have this GB Energy big policy. They said during the election they were going to bring bills down by £300. Yeah. I await to see at the end of 5 years whether this company, Nationalised Energy, is actually going to do that or not. I suspect the answer is no.
I mean, it's a good question. I'm glad you brought it up, actually, because what's going on with GB Energy? I mean, has it been created? Is it a holding company? Has it got officers? Has it got a CEO? Does it exist as a company that you can buy shares in? What is it exactly?
It's going to be created, I think, over the coming months. They've obviously had a new mission chief, Chris Stark, from the Climate Change Committee, who's got involved with all this. So it's due to be announced in the coming months when they have to have some idea about money from the autumn spending statement as well, which we can expect at the end of September, October.
Right. Yeah, but I mean, why is it taking them so long? I mean, they knew this is one of the main planks of their manifesto before the election was even called. They were talking about setting up this organisation, but it became very sort of loose, didn't it, in terms of what it was about? Was it a wholesale company? Was it going to be an energy supplier? Was it going to be an energy manufacturer? Or was it just going to be this kind of, hedge fund that sits somewhere in the middle, and which is apparently what it's going to be, controlling the resale, if you like, of wholesale energy to retail energy companies? I don't even see the point of it, but why is it taking so long? If I wanted to start up a company tomorrow, I could go to company's house and start it up tomorrow.
I think that just the scale of government really is the issue involved in all of this, and I think working out the kind of money. And I think Labour are learning now the lesson that many Labour governments have learned for them. It's very easy to promise stuff in opposition. Actually delivering on your pledges with the fiscal restraint of other departments makes it much harder to do when you're actually in office. Yeah, I guess so. And they're finding that out the hard way, aren't they? James, very good to talk to you. James Heale, political correspondent at The Spectator.